Colleen Bond. We're going to talk about all things digestion and specifically stomach acid. Low acid levels, high acid levels. Oh my goodness. I've got too much acid in my stomach. I'm in a pile of hurt. So the quick story I will share is that whether it was due to pace of life, stress of life, not chewing my food enough because I'm in a hurry, etc., and starting the digestive process up in my mouth. About 5 years ago, I had my third experience where I got a piece of beef stuck just above my stomach, in the esophagus, the sphincter muscle, right below, above your stomach. It wouldn't go down, it wouldn't come up. Honestly, the first time I had it happen, it feels like you're choking. I mean, it is not a good experience. I mean, it was fight, flight, freeze, I'm choking. But then you realize that I am breathing. I just can't swallow anything.
Yeah.
And your esophagus fills, and then you have a response to that, which is basically throwing up every 5 or 7 minutes. So anyway, go to the ER, punch it down, pull it out. I'm fine. Went to the doctor. He said, Pete, you've got too much stomach acid. It's irritating your esophagus. You've got inflammation. You need to go on a proton pump inhibitor. Which, what's a generic?
Pepsid, Zantac,
Pepsid.
Ranitidine, any of those names.
And he said, you just need to take this. And I said, okay, I get it. We got to get the inflammation down. There's some irritation.
Yep.
But long term, what is this going to do for my digestive, my stomach's ability to digest food? And he basically patted me on the head and said, don't worry your little head about that. And just take this PPI for the rest of your life and you'll be fine. And I just really didn't like that answer because he didn't answer. And guess what? I'm the customer. Answer my question.
Yeah.
Speak to me. So I started doing a ton of research and I came to the conclusion that my issue, most people's issues at my age, I'm now 53, that was late 40s, is that we lose stomach acid as we age. And for a variety of reasons. So it wasn't that I have too much stomach acid. I decided this is worth an experiment. I probably have too little.
Yeah.
And what's happening is that without the proper digestion in my stomach, there's a fermentation that's going on and there's pressure that's building up, pushing against the sphincter in my esophagus and causing the issue.
Yep. So
I started taking Betadine, Pepsin, basically a version of hydrochloric acid with meals that I had protein in.
Mm-hmm.
I took a lot of it for a while and now I take a lot less of it. But guess what? I don't have any symptoms anymore when I'm taking this stuff. Another interesting thing was I used to crave red meat. Like I loved a huge steak. The one thing I noticed was after improving my stomach acid, you give me a 4 to 6 ounce filet or a smaller piece of steak and I'm completely satiated. It's like my body is now getting whatever I did need out of that red meat in mass quantities. I now get it because my stomach is working the way that it's designed to work.
And I think that's a point maybe we need to clarify is how does this whole system actually work? And so when we eat food, so let's take a piece of steak or, a piece of kale, either way, it all works the same. You start in the mouth and your chewing actually starts the digestive process and sends a signal to your stomach to release stomach acid and get the environment ready to receive. And so for most of us, if we're having less than 20 minutes to eat, you're probably not chewing your food efficiently and effectively. You should be pretty watery by the time you get done chewing. 15 to 20 actual chews per bite is on average what it takes. Then it goes down, gets into your stomach. It should reach this very happily acidic environment where it gets broken down and churned and then shoots down into your small intestine where it can actually be absorbed. And if any part of that process isn't happening correctly, then you can experience symptoms of bloating and gas and stomach discomfort and things that we kind of start to think are just normal because so many people have them. And then you go to a GI doctor and immediately they're going to tell you you have a stomach acid issue where you have too much. And the reality is that symptoms of having low stomach acid very much mimic that of having high stomach acid. So unless they're doing a study, which most don't, to actually determine that you really do have high stomach acid, I would definitely be wary of just starting any type of PPI, proton pump inhibitor, because again, those drugs were only designed to be used for 6 weeks at a time. So if you had an insult like what you experienced, then yeah, you might have some inflammation that does need to be treated for a little while, but that's a short-term fix. And then you should be able to go back to normal eating. And if those symptoms recur, well, then now let's look at it. And you're absolutely right that as we age, our stomach acid does tend to decline. And so, we need to be eating a higher protein diet as we age if we want to age with life in our years. And so sometimes we have to use a little bit of digestive support through a digestive enzyme in order to digest that protein effectively.
And I hope one of the takeaways here is that neither you nor I are doctors. So, but everybody that is a consumer of medicine, of our healthcare system, it's a good reminder to go, you are the customer. Mm-hmm. You have questions. And now with how much information we have access to look into on this incredible, information on the World Wide Web, be a citizen scientist. Mm-hmm. And, be willing. I was willing, because I'm a curious person, I was willing to experiment with myself. I'm like, at first I was like, wow, this guy's suggesting I take hydrochloric acid. That seems aggressive, but I did some more research into it, and it worked for, what will work for me, and it worked. So be a citizen scientist, be willing to ask the questions. Don't just accept the prognosis because of expediency, or you just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, there are no shortcuts, unfortunately. That's just not how this system was designed.
Beautiful. There you go. All things stomach acid.
Love it.